Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the #1 source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
You ever draft like a tweet or a post online and then you're like, you know what, this is dumb, and you just delete it and go about your day, just second guess it?
You've seen my timeline. You know I don't.
I don't usually. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? No one needs to hear my stupid thoughts. And this one, I was like, I'm being a hater for no reason. I'm channeling my inner Evan for no reason. But when I watched David Pastrnak score his 400th goal and they cleared the bench for that, like the Bruins, all of them flooded on the ice, my initial reaction as a loser and a hater was, for 400? Really? Like, is that what we're doing now? And then I thought, you know what? No, like, I think the NHL needs more like celebrations, and like 500 is arbitrary and 400 is an insane accomplishment, and Pastrnak is an all-time great. Like, you know what? No, I'm not going to send this. Am I happy to have not sent that because someone else did? And Morgan Geekie, who tweets like twice a year apparently, just quote tweeted, dunked on him and was like, stick to your day job, or just something basic like that. And then that guy was the main character on hockey Twitter, and I was like, oh, I missed that by a hair. I am so happy I did not hit send on that.
He was actually doing it from the bench. His phone on him.
He was
got
ready.
One Russian player in the KHL.
What's your take, Mr. I Hate Tribute Videos? Do you empty the benches for 400?
You know what? The way you've laid this out, I think I could go either way, because there's a difference between getting a tribute video for playing 100 games for a team versus scoring 400 goals in the NHL. If I can't complain about the abundance of hockey guy personalities in the NHL and then also complain about this, so I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah, we do need more hockey guy personalities. We need more dudes back. We were actually just reminiscing about
Be
Kovalev.
careful what you wish for, because that's how the Kachucks ended up with a podcast.
Look, man, the NHL wants their own version of New Heights.
It's like if it was
that
New
is-
Heights, but it was awful.
That is a direct attack to like every other Eastern Conference team in the Edmonton Oilers specifically, that podcast. But we were reminiscing before we hit record about Alexei Kovalev, and just like, yeah, the hand's unreal. Maybe second to Pavel Datsyuk all time in terms of like the magic he could create. But still one of the greatest highlights, if not his greatest highlight, is carrying the puck intentionally around and around the zone until he can truck Darcy Tucker with an elbow, a high elbow. Bring back that version of hockey. Bring back, steroid era baseball. Hell yeah, why not?
Well, I saw a goalie get run last night. Was it Anderson who got one of the goalies got run? There was a big brouhaha. Now the world is healing.
More of that, please. This is what happens to us when there's no Red Wings games between episodes for like 3-4 days.
People with their bingo card are desperately waiting for us to talk about the steroid era of baseball.
Oh yeah, that's usually the bonus.
That's
of
where
it.
we go.
If we want to do this entire episode on that, I'm ready.
Folks, welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk to you, I promise, about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts today, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
You remember the size of Barry Bonds' head?
Tiny compared to the rest of them. This episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is presented by Greenlight Lending. Red lights are meant for lighting the lamp at the rink, not your home ownership goals. Head to gogreenlightlending.com today for creative mortgage solutions with flexible closing cost options. Licensed only in Michigan, NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender. On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we are going to be covering Todd McLellan's comments. Since the last time we spoke, he had some interesting words, and then he walked it back a little bit, but still worth noting, what he said about deciding on players. And we're going to be diving deeper into what Detroit might be doing in terms of their lines, their combinations, how to get things going again in terms of scoring. You talk a little bit about Marco Kasper's sophomore season, more on the 5-on-5 game, notes from around the NHL, a look ahead at the Olympics, jerseys, lineups, things like that, whatever else we get into before overtime. But first, Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA, Saturday, November 15th. Yes, that is this Saturday. We put out one last batch of tickets. If you check the Detroit Red Wings Twitter page, they did retweet it, so there's all the information there, or our Twitter page as well. wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings to get your tickets. It is a discounted ticket to the Red Wings vs. Sabres game, and you also get access to the pregame live recording of the Winged Wheel podcast at Little Caesars Arena, featuring Ken Daniels, Rob Ray, and other special guests. You also get a special co-branded Centennial-themed Detroit Red Wings and Winged Wheel podcast blanket and other great benefits as well. And every ticket purchase represents a donation to the Jamie Daniels Foundation. wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings. And details on the event, if you bought tickets already, check your inbox, or during overtime, we'll tell you a little bit more about how the day is going to go on. So stay tuned for that. All right. Todd McLellan had, I think, some pretty notable comments about the Red Wings and, making decisions on players. He was asked after the last game, and this was kind of as we were recording, so it didn't really get covered fully in the previous episode, but he was asked about Nate Danielson and the process about calling him up, and, said all the things about he had a good camp and they think that he was ready and all the standard things. But then there's a line in there that everyone kind of caught on to, which was really interesting. Basically, he said, "We want to see him now so we can make some decisions perhaps about other players." So making some decisions on some other players based on how Nate Danielson performs. Now, he did offer more context when asked at a later date. He said, I got a call from my son and said, who are we trading? And he said, there's not a trade imminent or anything like that. And he kind of softened everything. And that's understandable. Like, there probably isn't.
There's only 8 teams scouting the Grand Rapids Griffins game today. There's nothing's lined up, though.
It's all for Eric Gustafsson.
Absolutely.
Honestly, that might actually not even be a joke.
Yeah.
And like you take him at his word to a degree, but you don't make that statement of, make some decisions on some other players as nothing. And, when I first heard it, I didn't think, oh, certainly there's going to be a trade, but I interpreted it more as, okay, now this kind of potentially permanent fixture on the team has come in. And based on what you said last episode, Brad, this isn't a Austin Watson type of guy who's going to come up and go down, and he's a temporary, punishment for an otherwise regular Red Wing. If he sticks, and that's someone's spot gone. And I think that's what McLellan was alluding to. Like, this bottom 6, or a good portion of it, has not done enough to solidify their spots, and making some decisions on some other guys could mean something as simple as, yeah, we're going to, put you through waivers. You'll probably clear and you go down to Grand Rapids, or you're going to be the next permanent fixture in the press box and play way fewer games than you're used to. I don't think it was nothing.
No, I think it was something. I agree that I don't think it's necessarily trade related. It could just be a press box thing. I think, and again, I do feel bad for how much I pick on the guy, but I don't think there's a Red Wings fan who's watched the Red Wings routinely this year who would be disappointed if Michael Rasmussen got stapled to the press box for the next 60 games, right? And I think McLellan is going to always have some sort of rotation going on with who sits and all that, but someone is going to have to sit more than others. And if they do keep 14 forwards, 2 guys in all likelihood, and he might have to make a decision on who he just doesn't deem worthy of a lineup spot in regular intervals. And it could be trade, because he could go, okay, player X, Y, and Z can't play him, can't win with him, can't do it, unplayable, get them off my team. And Yzerman could respond and go, no, deal with it. So like every possibility is still wide open here. But I think the big takeaway from that for me isn't even necessarily what does he actually want to happen with the personnel. I think the main reason he said it is for something we referenced a lot the last couple episodes, honestly, a couple of years if you want, is these guys should not be comfortable in their jobs, and he needed them to hear it. And I am not guaranteeing you guys a spot on this team tomorrow. We already got Gustafsson and Hall in the AHL. You could be next. Play a game, be useful, be impactful. We put up the graphic today talking about how many bottom 6 forwards have scored a goal not on an empty net this year, and that I didn't even realize Kopp's 1 goal was an empty netter. Like, it's shockingly bad. good that he said it out loud and said, you may not be on this team tomorrow. Get your shit together.
I'm sure a lot of it has been said out of frustration, given the appalling lack of production over the past, I'll say 5 games, but I think you could maybe say 5 years for the bottom 6 forwards on this team. But I think there was a lot of truth to what he said. Like, maybe now wasn't the time they wanted to call up Nate Danielson, but they're sending a message throughout the lineup, and it now applies to the bottom just as much as it does the top. It's like, it's merit-based play right now. If you aren't cutting it, you're going to move up down the lineup. If you're excelling, you'll move up the lineup. Look at Marco Kasper, which we're going to talk about. The sophomore slump is hitting him hard, and they're trying to move him down the roster, find a more comfortable spot for him, maybe shelter him, get him going a little bit. This is a message directly to the passengers on this team. It's like, we have a first-round pick. We're not entirely sure if he's ready, but he's better than you right now. And we want to see if this is going to make a determination on your future with this team.
Well, it says something that they send Kasper down the lineup to get him right. So they put him with a, veteran, reliable, solid center, Nate Danielson.
Well, I'd rather, yeah, they have chemistry in GR. And truthfully, I feel better about Kasper playing on the wing with Nate Danielson than I do Michael Rasmussen. Like,
or
if
Andrew
he,
Kopp
if
or
it was
JT Compher.
If it was any of those combinations, it's kind of like, okay, he's got to really earn his way onto this team and up the lineup.
Yeah, the kind of blanket statement that is in terms of how it applies to different guys, I think you're both exactly right. Because there's guys who are just, hey, you're going to be out of a job soon. And you might be protected a little bit by a contract that's a little generous towards you, or you might not be. You could be on a 1-year deal and we're not seeing enough from you. It applies to those guys, yeah, but it also applies to guys who, previous episode we talked about guys who they have term, they have a decent chunk of money, and no, they're not like Lucas, Raymond, Alex DeBrincat type scorers, but they should be able to be doing a bit more than they have been. It's also a message to those guys. He wants them to hear it too. He's like, hey, I'm not asking you to go and have the kind of season that shocks the world, but just go out there and be a middle six player that no one complains about. And that's what Detroit's missing. And like, I don't know what kind of move they're going to make. I don't really get the impression that this team is going to intentionally throw in the towel and deal whoever they can. Like, they're so far away from that. But at the same time, I can absolutely see Todd McLellan saying, yeah, like, Nate Danielson, I'd rather have Nate Danielson and have him work through the motions as long as he's showing that he can be an NHL guy, if not a bit raw right now, than give the guy with the tenure and the experience and has been there the spot if he's not doing it with the has been there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a message to the team. Born of frustration? Absolutely. You can tell that based on the timing. And then, what he said afterwards, for sure. Like, you have to, it's a fine balance as a coach, and you have to find that line and walk it. And it's really tough. Brad, you talk a lot about you can't always be the kind of old school, hard-nosed coach who's pissing off your players. But you got to nip this stuff in the bud. It's only a 3-game losing streak. But they lost those 3 games in a way that was preventable. And so you got to get the boys going. And if not, then you got to make changes.
The Red Wings have been bad for a long time and aren't great right now. But I think even if you want to take what he's doing into the big picture, it's super important. Because if you look at a team well advanced beyond Detroit right now, and again, the punchline of every joke, but I'm bringing this up to be serious. When you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, what is going on with them right now? They are a cup contender and have been a cup contender for the better part of a decade. They can never get it done. And what is every Leafs fan frustrated about? What is every Leafs media pundit frustrated about? That team has no drive, no compete, no desire to win, no grit. They fail the punk test time and time again. And this team is supremely talented, but all the intangibles and the culture you need to have to win, the Leafs don't have it. And being blunt, there is a good chunk of this Red Wings roster that suffers from that same problem. And if you want to eventually get to the talent level of the Leafs, Okay, well, when you get to that talent level, do you want to be the Tampa Bay Lightning or the Toronto Maple Leafs? Right? Because that's where these intangibles and that culture starts to make a difference. How high is the give a shit? How high is the compete? How high is the snarl? Can you go out there and show the coach, simply put, you care? I will run through a wall to win this shift. And the Red Wings are lacking that desperately from way too many players on the roster right now. The Leafs as an organization have that problem damn near top to bottom with, 80% of their roster?
Their problem is like the big guys who are making all the money feel that way, but also a lot of the lower in the lineup guys do as well.
I will say the big guys in the Red Wings don't seem to have the same problem, but I wouldn't fully absolve, if you single out the top 6-7 players on the Red Wings right now, I don't absolve all of them. The down the lineup guys are obviously the problem in more than one way right now, but man, outside of Larkin, everybody else is having their moments where that, and DeBrincat I'll probably give a pass this year too, but like where that compete level, it's coming and going, and it's usually there, which is why I'm not worried about the Seiders, the Edvinssons, the Lucas Raymonds of the world, because it's there way more often than it's not. But if you got an anchor below all of them dragging everybody down,
Makes everything look bad.
Exactly. So if you want to be a cup contender when you have the talent to be a cup contender, you need to get that culture established now. You needed to get that culture established 3 years ago. Didn't work. So if 3 years ago was the best time, the second best time's now.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point, but I also think there's this misconception, and I'm very guilty of it too in the past, of assuming that you can build in the culture and the players will come later. I really think they have to kind of go hand in hand for the most part. I think if you don't have the personnel who are going to be there as your team's winning, the culture you can only do so much with, because it has to be driven by your best players. And that's the kind of thing you see in the old Boston Bruins rooms and the Tampa Bay Lightnings and the Florida Panthers. It's why every player who they bring in turns into the next, Gustav Forsling. They have like 10 of them.
They turn into the next Donovan Sabrango.
I swear to God, if he goes off, man.
Didn't he just have 2 points the other night?
And he's playing like 15 minutes a game, I think.
And that's driven by their best players. Like, nobody right now is writing off the Florida Panthers, and they are missing Barkov and Tkachuk. Like, that's insane, but it's a testament to what they've been able to build in terms of their culture, and that is driven by their best guys. And so I'm not, writing off your point, Brad, but I'm saying, like, in terms of 3 years ago versus now, well, the only guy who was really able to drive that 3 years ago, the passage of time is weird, but it's Adam Ernie,
Yep.
Elite goal scorer, leading goal scorer. Adam Ernie.
He's the one down the lineup, down in the trenches, doing the dirty work, really being a true sergeant for the troops down there.
Well, I do remember him actually throwing hits, so already he's an upgrade on a good chunk of the bottom six. But I will push back on that point a little bit. When you have these cultures that Florida has, Tampa has, Boston's had forever, it's self-sustaining. It doesn't have to be the same guys year after year, because the standard becomes the standard. The teams that stay at the top forever don't stay at the top with 80% of the same roster. There's always going to be carryover, and, Larkin's been here forever and he will continue to be here for a long time. But how many guys on this team right now are going to be on the team when the Red Wings are competing for a cup? Like 6 to 10, being generous? Like
10 would be remarkable.
10 would be nuts.
Yeah. So there's going to be turnover.
A lot of players.
But then when those new guys that aren't on the team yet walk into that room and the standard is established and they know what they're buying into, they get off on the wrong foot. Could you imagine right now if everybody Nate Danielson talks to this week on the hockey team is players from the bottom six? Do you think that's going to set him on the right path? Obviously, I know he's not. But I'm just saying, imagine if that scenario played out and that was the standard that was being established for him as an NHL player. You can't have that in the room. And again, this is a gross over-exaggeration of how this dynamic plays out and how everything plays out. But the number of times where you see players on the Red Wings have liberties taken and there's no punches thrown and there's no fight back, the puck goes into a corner on a forecheck, It's a flyby. There's no hit. There's no follow through on the check. A guy coming through the neutral zone with his head down, and it's just a flyby. There's like
the one thing that happened recently was Zadorov took an absolute cheap shot of Matthew Schaefer, and the Islanders aren't a good team. They've got a lot of cap issues going forward, and they're not a great team. But the moment that happened, I think every single player on the Islanders dogpiled on top of Zadorov. Like, it's not about if you're a playoff team or not. They're trying to establish a culture that this guy's going to be the face of our franchise, and we need to set the precedence that this team isn't going to be bowled over.
But it doesn't even have to be that it's a Matthew Schaefer level of player. It's just
anybody.
Your teammates.
Nice.
There was I can't even remember who they're playing, but there was a moment with Carolina this week where Jackson Blake was getting taken advantage of, looked like he was going to have to throw down in a fight. And Jackson Blake, he's a young guy. I think it's only his second year in the league. So another Carolina player comes in, just grabs the guy and starts filming the guy. It was Logan Stankoven.
Hell yeah.
If you can have all 4'9" of Logan Stankoven being like, I am all in, let's go. There is no reason anybody else in the league can't have the same mentality.
What's funny is like you look at what the Red Wings are doing and not doing right now is this conversation can so easily feel moot because, again, when you're asked why the Red Wings have been losing lately, it's different than how it's felt the past few years, because I really feel like the way they've been losing lately is avoidable because they've not been playing that way for a good chunk of the season. Like Prashanth did that write-up about, where the 5-on-5 scoring has gone. We'll link to it. And we also talked last episode of like where their shots are coming from and where their goals are coming from and what kind of plays they're making. Are they driving the net? Are they making the goalie's life hard in front, getting to the net front, going for rebounds, those kinds of things. And that kind of game has disappeared or faded away. And it's like, you don't need to. Why are you becoming a perimeter team when you've had success otherwise? So that's the part to me where I'm like, I go back to what we said last episode of this guy's not falling at all. The permanent deficiencies that are baked into what this roster can do and cannot do, yeah, that exists in the bottom six. Like there's a lack of goals and goal scoring talent in the bottom six, sure. But the team with the mentality and how they're approaching their games and the forward group specifically, they break out of this, then a lot of this is alleviated.
Well, this is why I hate the argument, because I hate when people make broad sweeping conclusions over intangibles, but I also hate when people, the other side of the argument, completely dismisses intangibles, because intangibles can lead to tangible results, and this is the perfect example of it. Why do players not like to get to the middle of the ice?
Hard, scary, hurt.
It's hard. Takes a lot of effort. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hit. You're going to get probably whacked. It's not going to be a pleasant experience unless you score the goals, and hey, we know what NHL shooting percentages are. So 9 out of 10 times, it's not going to lead to a goal. Well, guess what? The good teams go. The good teams do it. And the Red Wings were a good team for a good chunk of the year, and they were doing it. And that's, Prashanth made the excellent point of that's where their shots were coming from. If you're an Andrew Kopp, JT Compher, Michael Rasmussen, Elmer Soderblom, James Van Riemsdyk, Mason Appleton, you do not have the talent to score a goal in the same way that Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin and Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat are going to be able to. But you know what this bottom six does have? Size. There's no reason they can't get to the net. Rasmussen's coming wide with the puck because it's the only thing he knows how to do. That's fine. You can still do something with that. Where's that far winger crashing the back post? And then Rasmussen can just throw a back pad. Not a high percentage play. But if you do it enough, it's going to start to work sometimes. And even if it doesn't work and you're in the goalie's crease and you're in there, you're pissing the other team off, and that has value too. You are establishing what the other team has to expect from you that night. So all of a sudden, if they're getting so used to crashing the crease, their D have to back up, anticipate it, and then all of a sudden you have an Alex DeBrincat coming in, cuts high in the slot, more space because the D are backing up. Like, again, oversimplifications and over-exaggerations, but to the core of the point, this is a lot of what's happening with the Red Wings. And, to the point, like, how many times do we all sit there and watch the game and just watch these nothing plays? Oh, I'm going to get to the blue line. I'm going to stop up the half wall, soft rim around the boards behind the net, lost puck battle in the far corner, puck's out. What's better, that or throwing it to the net and crashing the net? I know what I'd rather see the bottom six do. And again, it's just, you see it in the numbers. That puck is staying 5 feet from the boards, it feels like, the whole game for the Red Wings.
Well, you can very easily tell what Todd McLellan's focusing on with his team and what he's going to try to shake up. And with that, there's a shakeup in the lines. He has DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond as the first line right now, so a little bit of a throwback there. He has Finnie, Compher, Kane as a second line, and then Kasper, Danielson, Appleton, which we saw last game for Danielson's debut. And then in practice, it looked like Berggren, Kopp, Rasmussen, and Berggren was filling in for JVR, who might have been getting some work done, according to Answer Khan. Soderblom was an extra, so I don't know. It looks like JVR, but it could be Berggren as well.
They had Berggren working in on the power play.
Yeah.
Which means it might be Berggren.
And they're going for those different looks on the power play as well. Like,
Well, they split the powerhouse up. They kind of balance the two units now.
Referencing Max here, he showed, power plays at practice looked a little bit like Seider, Raymond, Larkin, Berggren, Finnie / Danielson. And then the other unit was ASP, DeBrincat, Kopp / Kasper, and then Kane, and then Rasmussen. So looking at quite a big...
One of those things is unlike the other.
Yeah. And I think you're going to see Rasmussen too as well. Like Brad was right. There's a lot of picking on Rasmussen. And
get that big ass in front of the net. Do your thing. Like he's serviceable around the net.
Should be.
Going into his draft,
that was his bread and butter.
He was elite. That was the thing everybody posted at. This guy can't skate, stick handle, or shoot, but my God, is he an animal within 10 feet of the crease. He deflected everything, smashed in every rebound. He was an animal, and it disappeared at the NHL.
I honestly, maybe I'm just, I'm not even thinking about the power play for Rasmussen. I'm like, okay, the penalty kill sucked when he was scratched, and I bet you're going to see him go back, and they're going to say, okay, what's the trend here? Because that's going to make some decisions too. Like you look at guys where you're like, oh, so-and-so, whether it's JVR or Soderblom or Berggren, they have more offensive potential than Rasmussen, and that is absolutely true. But if they're not making an impact and Rasmussen can play reliably on the penalty kill, well, whether you like it or not, that's going to make some roster decisions.
I agree. And if he's providing some value somewhere on the ice, that's certainly more than other guys are providing. But that's also part of the bigger problem is this is a league where you can't afford to have specialists anymore. Like you have to be able to hang at 5-on-5 as well, which is obviously an issue. But with a guy like Rasmussen, I actually, when things are going this poorly in the goal scoring department and the special teams, I actually have no problem trying him on the net from power play here because he could be that guy. Smack in one rebound from the crease. Confidence jumps 100%, and who knows what we get from him after that. Because we've seen from Rasmussen be a hell of a lot better than he's been lately.
Yeah.
There is something else to his game. There is another gear to this game, and
every time they try him at center, it's like
it doesn't work. And like, no, I don't know. It's like, why isn't this working?
His game for like 5 weeks after.
No, genuinely, it could just be nuking his confidence because he goes there, he struggles, he feels like crap about it. Now he's in his own head. They put him back to wing, but it's too late. He's in his head. And that's what I mean. Like sometimes, was it last year when Dylan Larkin hit that empty netter after not scoring for what felt like 100 games? He went on a tear right after. Like you just need
need to get a lead before we can start talking about empty nets.
Hey, a 2-foot rebound from the crease could maybe give you a lead.
Did Holmstrom already fly back after FanFest? They should have kept him in town and said, Ras, you're not going to the next 10 practices. You were just working one-on-one with Holmstrom.
Just so Holmstrom gives him a gallon of pine tar and teaches him how to cross-check.
Sign me up.
I am 100% in.
Use me as the stick if you need to.
They were doing a video tribute. I think it was all the guys who were at FanFest doing that sort of hot stove thing. I think it was at the Fox Theater.
Yeah.
And they had a clip of Holmstrom raising the cup. I don't know what year it was, but his jersey was so covered in black puck marks, it could have been a goalie jersey.
No, genuinely, it might have been pine tar. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that story. He covered his sticks.
But heaven forbid you have like a slightly illegal curve.
Yeah.
Sorry, you want to raise the puck.
Because I remember a buddy of mine had a Holmstrom game use stick he was showing me the one time. He's like, I can't handle this thing without gloves. And I was dying laughing. It was so ridiculous. I think he stopped at some point, but it was funny to see.
But yeah, it was either pucks or the other team's.
Probably both. It was probably all
It
of
was
the above.
insane.
Yeah. And his back, I'm sure he was like a big, strong guy. Like he had
a suit of armor underneath.
Yeah, literally like the OG Iron Man suit that he used to break out of the cave. Like that's how broad his shoulder pads were. It was the inverse Brendan Shanahan, who essentially had a t-shirt.
And you saw he added the extension to the back of his shoulder pads, so there was more protection in his lower back because he knew what was coming when he got in front of the net.
Yeah. Fun fact, that is when, as a kid, it clued into me where I could hurt the forwards who were in front of me. Because they did a feature, this has always been known about Holmstrom, and they did a feature about his special pads and how it covered his lower back. And I went, oh, I guess that isn't covered, is it? And the very next game, I ran my stick down the kid's spine.
Yeah, Chris Pronger was like a revolutionary in terms of how to injure other people.
As Red Wings fans, it's so funny watching those guys. Like, oh, Chris Pronger was such a great and such a classy player. I'm like, are we thinking of the same guy?
Guy had a knife in his pants and would stab people.
Any other thoughts on the Red Wings lines as they put them up? I don't mind moving Finnie down. Like Finnie and Kasper, giving them different looks. Like McLellan said this about Kasper, and we'll talk about Kasper and his sophomore slump in a little bit, but it's the classic thing, and you're get in the league and you do well initially, but then the pressure's on, you're asked to do a lot, and then he's like, you can see them kind of get in their own head, and they're thinking too hard as they move around the ice, and they're just getting away from the fundamentals. Like in Max's piece, he wrote, drive to the net more, pick up the draw penalties and get to the hard areas, grab the rebound, like put yourself in a position to take advantage of opportunities as they come. And that's the kind of thing that rookies and young players, sophomores, they get away from the kind of game that helps them create their own luck. And just getting Kasper going on the wing could potentially be a spark for him. And, removing Finnie from playing the toughest competition at all times, I also think could be good. So I don't really see it as a massive indictment, but probably a necessary mix-up at this point.
I like it because it adds a little bit, like the first line now is loaded with firepower, so I really like that line. And yeah, I agree. Like Kasper had a lot of expectations trying to carry water for a second line. Like Alex DeBrincat is an elite goal scorer, maybe a U.S. Olympic hopeful, and then you've got Patrick Kane on your wing. Like there's heavy expectation, a lot of pressure there. So moving him down, taking him off the center position, letting him play wing, get reacquainted with Nate Danielson. I personally really like, if these are if this is the lineup they're going to keep for the game against Anaheim, really like it.
The only thing, and I get it, this is just a roster deficiency. I've seen so few iterations of a Compher line with Kane on his wing that I've liked. It feels like it's not taking advantage of Kane's abilities in a way that maximizes what he brings to this offense, because we know what Kane is and what he can do at this point in his career. And we also know the, insanely positive offensive benefit you can get from Patrick Kane, which the Red Wings need because they're not a very heavily talented team up and down the lineup. You can get that benefit if the lineup is configured in the right way. You're thinking, okay, I can't put him on the first line because then he'll get exposed with the skating in the other side of the puck. But the second line is kind of that sweet spot. How's Compher going to be able to do? Well, he's going to need to do more than what we've seen. Otherwise, the Red Wings are getting a net loss in terms of what Patrick Kane can bring. So he wasn't getting that from Marco Kasper as center so far this year. Like, that's not a secret. That's one of the missing ingredients because he's almost like a cheat code, but it's not like an automatic cheat code. You do have to kind of figure out how to make the most of that. So I'm curious to watch that. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, the 13th forward kind of conversation. We'll see how it goes with Rasmussen getting back on the penalty kill and who sticks and who doesn't. And I wonder what those decisions are going to be. We'll see. Thursday is the Anaheim game, which is going to be, that's a hot team right now, man.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of pissed off people if the Red Wings lose that game because they're going to look across the other side of the ice and be like, look at this team with all these rookies who are, taking this franchise to the next level, potentially playoff team. And then there's Detroit.
And then Saturday's Winged podcast night, the Buffalo Sabres game. So
hey, there's a cure for what ails you.
You'd hope still winning record, north of 500 points percentage at Winged podcast night. So those are the next two games. And then they have Sunday against the Rangers. And we're still figuring out whether the next episode is going to come out Monday afternoon or Sunday late night.
Hold on. The Sunday game against the Rangers.
It's on the road.
It's in New York?
It's in New York.
There's our dub, baby.
Although they just put up a great spot recently, the Rangers at home. So
yeah, who is it against? Nashville.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Broken clock's right twice a day.
Right, but then you run the risk of being compared to these Nashville Predators, and that would be
if the Red Wings started 9-4 and then lose 5 in a row to get to 9-9, they deserve to be.
And on that note, let's take a quick break to hear from the sponsors of the Winged Wheel podcast. Back after this. Welcome back. We mentioned it a couple times in the previous conversation, but talking about Marco Kasper and his season so far, and it's not been the first time we've talked about it, but it's been a topic of focus. There's all this, is Kopp going to do more? Is Compher going to do more? Is Rasmussen going to do more? Is Berggren or Soderblom, whoever, going to do more? And that's all well and good, and I think they're important conversations, but at the same time, the Marco Kasper one is a big one, because if you think about all of the predictions and future projections for this team, nearly all of them were predicated upon the success the Red Wings had with the revelation that was Marco Kasper last season. And he's struggling this year so far. He's not been the same player, and none of this is a huge shock. We talked to there's a risk of the sophomore slump, and it seems to be hitting him. And the sophomore slump is made up of things like other teams have tape on you, your assignments get heavier, you're asked to do more, the pressure's higher mentally, you're kind of gripping the stick too tight. Again, McLellan said, like, the way he's trying to overthink his way around the ice, like you get away from, it's almost like too many swing thoughts.
Yeah.
Or, something's working for you one day off the tee, and then you start to overdo it, and then all of a sudden the snap hooks are there, and it's kind of like that. Not that I can relate at all, because I've never had a good day off the tee. I just went straight to the slices. I go right from slice to snap hook. But it's still important for the Red Wings that Marco Kasper finds his way out of this. One, because they need a true second line center again. And two, they can't afford to lose a viable top 6 forward, and he's not been performing as one so far. So what do you make of this?
Paralysis by analysis. He's overthinking it, and the problem is in the NHL, if you take an extra half second to make up your mind on whatever plays in front of you, it's probably too late. And you can see that. And McLellan's right. He said he's trying to overthink his way around the ice. And I think that's exactly it. Especially when you look at, he has 0 assists this year? Yeah.
On a line with 2 solid finishers.
Yeah. It means he gets the puck on his stick and he doesn't know what to do with it. And we saw last year that's not an issue for him, but this year it is. And yeah, I think we talked about it with Rasmussen, just bang in a rebound and watch the confidence go up. Man, I think if Kasper can make one clean seam pass to someone for a goal, it'll unlock him a little bit, because we saw the sophomore slump with Raymond. We saw it with Larkin, but neither of them were close to this. 3 points in 16 games is pretty extreme on the bottom end of the slump scale. So I think it'll come for him. I don't know if that's going to be in a month, in a year, next season.
Tomorrow against Anaheim?
Could be. But yeah, he just needs to play effing hockey. He might be the living embodiment of when McLellan yelled that. It's just play, man. Don't worry. Don't overthink it. Just play.
Yeah, I'm hoping that him going down and playing with Danielson and Appleton will just help alleviate some of the stress of having to play in the top 6 of an NHL lineup. Like, just go down there, find your game. You're going to have easier matchups, and we'll work through this as Marco Kasper, as a team. he will figure it out. Like, this is all part of the growing process to being a veteran in the NHL. Like, you've made your appearance in the league, you found some immediate success, and now it's about consistency, being able to play consistently and produce consistently. So I'm hoping that this is kind of the thing that reinvigorates him and helps him figure it out. We'll see, but I think Marco Kasper can turn it around.
I agree that he can, and far be it from a guarantee. Like, we've seen sophomore slumps last months, if not a year.
Years if you're Philip Zadina.
Any day now. Someday we'll be right about that. But like, going to the wing and playing with competent players, a little bit of that is hinging on how well Danielson adjusts to the NHL level. So that's not completely solid ground, but he's not playing with the worst of Detroit's bottom six, not by any means. That's a good recipe to try to get a guy like that going. You're pulling him away from the toughest assignments. You're pulling him away from the pressure and responsibilities of playing center. And that can be the kind of thing to move you and just get your brain to reset a little bit. That's what you need. You just need a reset, get those swing thoughts out of your head. I don't really have concerns, and this just could be like blind optimism. I don't really have concerns about overall ceiling for offensive ability or, maybe he's not a center after all. I think we saw too much that was good last season, and this is just such a normal thing to happen for a guy at this point in his career. Like, he's still young, right? So I'm not there. I've seen it suggested, and personally, I think you have to look at this through two different lenses. Like, yeah, micro view, the Red Wings want to be a playoff team this year, so he does have to get going. Macro view, regardless of what happens in the 2025-2026 season, I still view Marco Kasper as a very viable option as a middle six center, a good middle six center on this team. As high as a good second line center, or, worst case, Danielson or someone else comes in and is even better and he's a great third line center kind of thing. Like, I that's none of his ceiling is gone in my mind. This kind of slog is completely separated from the overall view of Kasper.
Yeah, I agree. Again, we saw it with Raymond and Larkin to different degrees where they had the slump and then they came back and we obviously know what they are now. So yeah, big view. I'm not worried about Kasper at all. Just has to get something going. Because again, everything we've been talking about today feels like it's from we're looking at the long-term view, but some of this stuff still needs to be corrected right now. And I'm not saying Kasper needs to be fixed right now, but he does have to crank it up a little bit from where he's at.
You can't let it get set in stone, right? Like, you can't let a slump turn into a career-long slump.
We always say, like, oh, if the bottom six doesn't show up and then the top six is cold, then there's pretty much nothing going for you. And like, okay, if shrink that down a little bit, if DeBrincat or Raymond or whoever are on a cold streak, or in Raymond's case, like hurt for a little while there, and they go cold, or Larkin goes cold, or what have you. Well, if you don't even have the guys who are like the meat and potatoes, like get the puck to the hard areas, bang in rebounds and make plays happen just through sheer force of will, if they're not doing their thing, then my God, then you really have nothing. So the focus is on the bottom six for good reason. Again, like the talent is just missing there. But yeah, Brad's right. Like, if you want the success this year, he is an important cog. And if you're going to do that without him performing like he did last season, that means a lot of other things are going right for the Red Wings, which is not the case right now. Top six isn't firing the last few games. Goaltending hasn't been there. What world is it where the defense is like lower down on the list of concerns?
We are half hour, 45 minutes into the episode. That's the first time we've even brought up the defense.
That is crazy.
In a slump.
Wow, that's how you know this team is different. Whenever I have like relatives or friends who aren't really hockey fans, but they just are vaguely aware because of the podcast, they're like, hey, how come the Red Wings are losing lately? The answer is usually, it's because they suck. What do you want me to say? Like, that's what it's been for the last decade. But the last couple of weeks, I've been like, well, no, they're losing in ways where I'm like, they shouldn't be. I'm actually like, people are annoyed by this because they should be better. Like, this is different. And like, hey, look at that. We went from they're losing because they suck to they're losing because something is actually wrong in this moment, but they can be winning. Is it good? No, but it's kind of less bad.
It's different for sure.
It's a whole new way to be sad. Look at us go.
10 plus years of this, man. This is why This is why we're born into haters, where I see a 400 goal celebration, my immediate reaction is to just be Evan or
You can. My first thought is, you're allowed to score that many?
400, like what, as a team combined?
Yeah. Franchise history?
Evan has seen so many. This guy played 30 to 100 game video tributes over the past decade. He's just like, it's soured you for life. You went 25 years without seeing those.
I know. You used to have to do something important to get a video tribute. Now they just give them out to anybody.
You used to be like, oh, that Red Wing only has 1,000 games played for the team. Jeez, he's practically a rookie.
They might consider giving him like a bobblehead night.
They used to be the biggest procurement center for silver because of all the silver sticks they had to hand out.
So anyways, does Alex Lyon get a tribute video on Saturday?
Yeah, it's just going to be people are going to think it's a video, but it's just a picture of him just staring at the camera.
It's the wide
No, they're
eye.
going to think it's a picture, but it's actually a 30-second video.
It's the cat meme video. Would you be happy with an Alex Lyon tribute video? Does he deserve one, Evan Lobsinger?
He does not.
No. He's a popular online, man. They're going to come after you on Twitter, which is pretty safe for you.
It's not to say I'm not an Alex Lyon guy. I'm just someone has to defend the merit of a tribute video.
I think it's just you, Al.
It is. This is the Alamo. I'm
Please.
the last guy remaining.
Red Wings, I am begging you to go on a 3-game win streak. We can't do it.
Hold on. No, Red Wings, I've got a challenge, admin team, if you're listening to me. Alex Lyon tribute video, and there's got to be at least one Evan Lobsinger tweet out there saying something positive about Alex Lyon. Put it in the video.
Yes. That's so good.
Wouldn't be hard to find. I think if you look back 2 years, it's probably 15 minutes of effort in terms of the volume of tweets I have.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So you scrolled twice for that. All right, let's jump into some league-wide news, and actually not even just for the NHL, but talking about Olympics. First off, Olympics. Did you guys see Slovakia's jersey reveal?
Unreal.
So sick.
100 out of 10.
This is one of the classic, the people just want this. They're like, okay, we'll do that. And everyone's like, thank you. This is incredible. It's like when they did best on best 4 nations. They're like, I can't believe this is a success. They're like, what are you talking about? People have wanted this forever. This is how I feel about the jersey. It's so good.
That's like, it's classic Slovakia with that flair, like the creativity with the mountains and the shading. God, that is just so good, man. It's so good without being nuts. I think it was the overtime that we talked about Canada's jerseys, and it's like they're pretty polarizing. There's a lot of stuff in there that I don't like. I think in the end, like they've had a pretty varied history with like the black in their jerseys and things like that. So I get it, but I don't know.
Did you also see that the arena is apparently behind schedule?
Yeah.
Hasn't it been behind schedule for like 2 years?
Yeah, pretty much from the moment.
That's if you've been to Italy, that makes a lot of sense. They're actually ahead of schedule on Italy time.
I was going to say, like, that is the least surprising thing I've ever heard about Italian infrastructure development.
Well, you can't start working in the morning. You have to have your espresso and cigarette before you even consider it.
And then it's 100 degrees out, so you stay inside.
Don't have to work at that when it's that kind of condition. No.
And then the AC is not working that great because all the power is going to the construction equipment. And then it's time for a nap, and then
the day's done.
And then you have to go out for pre-dinner drinks, and then dinner starts at 9, and then you're eating till 1, and then next morning you were out till 1. So
exactly. Like, hey, I know the NHL is concerned, but in terms of Italian time frame, we're well ahead of schedule.
When I was there, we had a kind of a guide for a little wine tour, and he was talking about how a stadium development process, there's this huge conflict between I believe it was an American owner of a team, and he wanted to just like, I'll spend my money, but I bring in my people and I do it at my pace. And that's apparently a big no-no, because it's like, if you're developing in this area, you got to bring in this company and these guys, and everyone's involved with a capital I, and it just slowed everything down it took years and years and years. And he's like, and that's just, it's a shame because the fans wanted this. The owner wanted to spend the money. It's not like he was asking for public funds. And it's just like, that's just not how you do things there.
That's not how they roll.
Anyhow, it's going to be NHL size ice. For those who don't know, I keep seeing people say like, oh, how will this player adjust to Olympics or international size ice? It's NHL size ice for the Olympics, which I think is a good thing. But the NHL is doing a little visit there to see how things are coming along.
Yeah. when I first saw this, I was like, oh no, like this. I feel like NHL ownership and NHL executives will just look for any reason to try and wiggle out of the Olympics as best they can, especially when they have the golden goose of Four Nations and the expansion of that on the horizon. So I am slightly worried, but I think everything will be fine.
I think so too. I think even the NHL, who's been allergic to the Olympics for so long, they see the momentum behind this, and they wouldn't be so stupid as to delay that.
Yeah.
Best on best thing again. So speaking of Olympics, storylines regarding, what players are going to make it have started to develop very obviously. And December will mark a lot of the completed roster decisions, barring anything crazy happening. And there's some big ones involving younger players, but who are doing phenomenally. Like on the American side, Cole Caulfield potentially being left off. And then on the Canadians, it's for some reason being framed as one of Celebrini or Bedard, if it's going to be one of them. And I'm looking at these and I wonder a little bit whether I'm in the minority. Because I think of all three of those guys, for example, I'm like, all three of those guys, as of right now, should be on the team, plain and simple, on their respective teams.
Saw a lot of projections for the Canadian team recently that included Zach Hyman, who is he even playing? Didn't he blow up? Does his hand blow up? He's Lieutenant Dan with one hand.
the inverse Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, like
Dan, you ain't got no arm.
like you know what? You know what we should do? This guy hasn't played in 7 months. Let's bring him instead of the leading NHL point producer, who is going to be part of the future of Canadian international hockey for decades.
They're not bringing in Nathan MacKinnon, you don't think?
Nathan MacKinnon's probably already there. He's probably helping them build the arena now.
Yeah.
When they heard that they were behind schedule, he just went over there and cut out all the carbs.
No, he heard about Italian pasta and he's just like, I'm out. Don't even ask me to go.
That's like oil and water right there.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's a stupid conversation. Bedard and Celebrini absolutely both can be on the team and probably should both be on the team, but it's Hockey Canada, man.
We need Zach Hyman on the team, guys.
Every conversation I've had is Jordan Binnington's the lock to be the starter, despite being one of the worst goalies in the NHL. Like, they won't even entertain the idea of Logan Thompson being the starter because Jordan Binnington had 2 really good weeks in the spring.
I actually agree that Binnington should be on the team and
he should be on the team.
Get around at least the round robin game to start. I think he's earned that, and I think the tournament is a different thing. I remember years where the best goalie, whether it's the Canadians or the Americans or whoever, they get to the tournament, and all of a sudden you're like, Roberto Luongo is terrible. Marc-Andre Fleury, who everyone loves, did absolutely nothing internationally for almost his entire career, and he's beloved and seen as one of the great Canadian goalies of all time. It's a different beast, and so I think with what Binnington did to prove everyone, including us, wrong in Four Nations, I think he's earned the round robin start, at least.
Sure, but my point is, there's not even a conversation to be had. This is what's happening. And again, Hockey Canada always feels like they can never get out of their own way. You have 2 of the best players on the planet right now. Who cares if they're 19 and 20 years old? What does that matter? Yeah, there's something to be said for experience, but also, have you watched them play hockey this year? There are not 12 Canadian forwards better than either of them right now. Full stop.
Well, and then you look at the American conversation is what burned them at Four Nations. They couldn't score when they needed to. They were missing goals in clutch moments. And are you really going to leave tied for second in goals behind Nathan MacKinnon, Cole Caulfield, and his 12 goals? Cole Caulfield, who leads the Montreal Canadiens in franchise history for overtime winners, is it? Like, you're going to leave that guy off? Why? Because he's small?
Yes.
Like, that's nuts to me.
That's what's going to happen. Man, we've seen time and time again, these teams don't get out of their own way. They will have all these creative ideas, and over the course of an 82-game NHL season, you can get weird with some things. But when the pressure's on of a 2-week tournament, you get 5 to 10 games or however many it's going to be with round robin. This is it. This is all you get. What they clam up. They are so scared to make any risky move That's like, all right, here are the 12 vets we know, we trust. Sure, 3 of them are going to suck, but we know at least 9 of them will be good, and that's probably enough to get a gold medal. Like, I understand the logic, but it's what they do. It's what's going to happen.
I don't think it's like a universal truth that you always have to bring the guys with the most points and stuff. And I think there are players who could potentially be too young and be exposed, like, depending on what they can do at either end of the ice.
Yeah, you're not bringing Matthew Schaefer to this one, but no. Matthew Schaefer's unreal, but no.
I don't think it's like I would entertain the conversation.
Yeah,
I would think about it.
If he's on the short list of 10 to 12 defensemen for Canada, sure.
Defense is different. Like playing defense against the best players in the world, I do agree with you.
Yeah, there's no hiding on playing defense at the international level.
Like if you like Lane Hudson, and like barring the memes and the rivalry aside, like we all like Lane Hudson on this podcast. We wish
Tom Wilson is going, would they be like Tom Wilson's line, you were playing against Lane Hudson every single shift.
Any speedy line with talent. Hey, Lane Hudson, you have McKinnon or McDavid or whoever bearing down on you. I don't know how, but they're going to score 2 goals on every rush.
It's much more difficult for a young player to play international best on best defense.
His instructions were if McDavid touches the puck anywhere near the Canadian goal line, Lane, you have exactly 3 seconds to get off the ice.
Yeah, head first Superman dive into the bench.
Yeah.
We'll pad the back.
It's almost like almost like a curse being one of the biggest talent producers in hockey. Like Canada and US have so many players that they could choose from to construct a roster that they just get in their own way. Like if Canada or US were a smaller hockey nation, it's like we have 10 guys who play in the NHL, they're all going.
Yeah.
And it'd be a non-factor. But you know, when you start to look at these countries that have like, you could put 2 teams in the tournament, it's like, how do we construct it the best way to find the best chemistry and the best team possible? And it's, you know, it's certainly not an objective process. Like they're going to make wrong decisions. It's really difficult.
I know it doesn't matter, but the whole picking a few guys early thing, like in the summer, I complained about it then. I'm going to complain about it now. What's the point of that? No one cares then. You're not drumming up excitement. It doesn't keep it fresh in people's mind.
Guys, believe it or not, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, they'll be on Team Canada.
Well, Braden Point is named to the team. Braden Point's been not Braden Point to start the year. You're not going to leave Braden Point off the team, but I'm telling you, it should at least be a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, what if Braden Point was absolutely god-awful for the rest of this year, and you have to have him now on the team? Meanwhile, everyone should be taking lessons from 2006 where Canada left Sidney Crosby off the roster, and they have that conversation twice now with celebrating Bedard. The Americans have it with Cole Caulfield, whoever else. Like, and you're stuck with players. And like, look, Braden Point's going to be on the team, and he's going to light it up, and we all know what's going to happen. But still, like, just naming the guys early, like, it doesn't serve anything. It's such a weird. It's like an exec thought of this and like, oh, we're going to do this now. It's going to be a great marketing thing. No hockey fan cares. They're like, it's summer out. I have 18 holes later. I'm not even thinking about hockey. Go away.
That's the same thing I would think the selected players said.
Yeah, really. Like, I photoshopped the jersey on me. What, you want me to show up for a photo shoot? Jeez.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see what happens. I think those conversations are going to start to heat up now, and I'm curious to see, because like you guys have mentioned, there have been a lot of players who, it's almost like a curse. They've moved themselves into conversations, and teams have to make decisions. Like, you want a Tom Wilson on the roster, you want a Zach Hyman on the roster, you want a such and such on the roster. Okay, you can't have too many of them, because you have the future of your team. Someday, like 100 years, Sidney Crosby's going to retire. You need to start to turn that over. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's take another quick break here. When we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Win Wheel Podcast. Back after this. Are you planning your next large group trip to the Canadian Rockies, or want to find somewhere to go with your family or friends? 223 Otter Street in Banff, Alberta is a historic 10-bedroom home that sleeps up to 23 people. Winged Wheel Podcast listeners can comment in the booking notes on Airbnb or Vrbo to save 10% off before June 2026. Check out the listings on Airbnb or Vrbo in the links in the description to find out more about this incredible vacation property.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, you get access to a lot of great benefits. For example, our bonus overtime episodes, which record right after these main ones. You get bloopers, you get thoughts with Evan, you get outtakes from between segments, which there's some good ones in this episode. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways. For example, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game in season going directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Before we get to questions, some quick notes on Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA this Saturday. If you bought tickets, check your email. You should have something already from us. There will be something from the team coming. If you don't have anything yet, just shoot us an email and we can send you more information. But as of now, the plan is doors will open around 3:15. So if you want to get there really early, that's great. We'll have you there and you have time to, grab a drink, hang around. We'll probably be doing some mix and mingle there. And then we are going to aim to start recording the live show at about 3:45, give or take, depending on the arrival time of guests. So we'll start then, and then we're going to record the show. And then hopefully there will be time afterwards as well for a meet and greet if you want to come say hi or anything, have something signed and what have you. So that's all the plan. You'll get your item, the Centennial themed co-branded Detroit Red Wings Winged Wheel Podcast blanket as you enter. So you're going to have your ticket, and soon you'll have a voucher added to the account that purchased the tickets as well. That voucher will get you into the live recording of the Winged Wheel Podcast. And I should say, when I say doors open, that is at the Budweiser Beer Garden. So look up where the Budweiser Beer Garden entrance is to the LCA. It is not in the arena. It is kind of attached to the arena. So that's where the doors will open around 3:15, and you'll scan that voucher. You'll get your item and you'll be able to come into the beer garden, which has like an indoor and outdoor element to it. And that's where the live show will be happening. All right. And again, shoot us an email if you have any more questions. Let's take some questions from our Patreon supporters here. Let's start with one with Jeremy Dahl says, "Oh man, can you talk me down? I look around the league and see Leo Carlson, Schaefer, Celebrini, and Bedard, how they're having some great success, and we don't have any of that. Is there a chance Augustine or Kosa could end up being our superstar? Or with all the other talent that is looking decent, do we just have to hope that having a sheer number of great but not superstar talent carries us over? Does having one of the top defensive pairings in the league count for enough?" The answer to this is boring, and it's that it's a mix of everything. The teams who win the lotteries and have those top players, yeah, they have an easier time. But it's not everything. We've seen superstar-laden teams never win it. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers, they're doing their weird start of season, they suck for no reason thing right now, but they haven't won it. And you've seen teams in the past who have been star but not superstar heavy go far. Do you point to the St. Louis example forever? I don't know, but it's certainly still front of mind for a lot of people. Having one of the top defensive pairs in the league helps, sure. But no one's going to sit here and tell you, yeah, you're better off not having a superstar. Could be Augustine or Kosa. It's hard to say with goalies until they get here. I'm not projecting it for sure. Augustine maybe could be, just electric at every level of his career, but he's still too far away to say that kind of thing in my mind.
It is definitely harder to do it the path the Red Wings are taking, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. It is the St. Louis, Carolina model of we're not going to get any superstars, so let's get a lot of really good players and catch lightning in a bottle.
Upper East Sider says, surprised you guys weren't more open to a Kosa call-up. This team doesn't have the luxury of being able to be patient with Gibson, better than having to force Kosa in if Talbot drops off. It's a good point. I should add that Kosa right now is day-to-day, which is disappointing. Him and Postava both hurt in a short time span there in Grand Rapids, who continue an electric start. But
that seems like a break glass in case of emergency move to me, right? Like, we've already seen the 3 goalie rotation, even though I think this would be a very short-term move. We've seen the 3 goalie rotation just get everybody out of sync. So that might be a very short-term fix, but I think over the long term, you're going to throw guys out of sync, and it might do more harm than good.
if you go another month here and you're not really getting good goaltending from either guy, and you only have 22 guys on the roster, that kind of thing, like I could see it for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Like then he sticks, and then what happens?
He takes one of Talbot's games just to reduce his workload a little bit. Like, sure, I can see it, but the timing has to be immaculate.
I want it to be good for Kosa is my thing.
Exactly.
Because it's like, it's not like if he comes in and he's just absolutely lights out and holds his roster spot, then what a great problem to have. Then Edmonton's calling you, asking for one of your goalies, right? Sure. Then you deal with that as you do. But that's pretty much one of the only ways that he's going to come up and stick in his roster spot, because they have 2 NHL goalies right now with contracts and that are making a good chunk of money. And so they're not going to waive either one of them. If they waive either one of them, they're claimed. It's not even a question. It's not even a possibility that they're going to do that. So yeah, it's, if you're going to bring him up for a game or two to alleviate like a really tough part of the schedule, or in case of injury, you just want to design that, in a way that's advantageous for Kosa and it doesn't burn him. Upernadian says, all right, it seems to me that the Red Wings have 2 groups of players. One group who can't let go of Newsy's way of things, and the younger guys who have bought into McLellan's system, and it's not meshing. The Chicago game was a travesty, to say the least. Like Evan says, it was 60 minutes of cardio. Guys, I don't know what to think anymore. Thoughts and ideas. I can see that thinking. I'm not sure I necessarily agree that it's that black and white. Like, part of all of this that gets lost sometimes, and that is worth repeating just as a reminder, is this is a very new team. Like, there's a lot of turnover in personnel. There's a turnover in coaching, relatively speaking. Like, the new systems. This stuff doesn't happen overnight, and you're still in the first phase of the season. Can't persist forever, but some of these are just growing pains for individual careers and as guys gel together as a unit. So I don't know that I necessarily want to blame it on like, oh, they still have newsy systems kind of thing. Certainly a little bit, bad habits and what have you, but I don't know. I think like, let's see around Christmas. Like if you're still talking about the same kind of issues with the same guys who are doing the same things,
I'm going to lose my mind.
So will Todd.
Yeah.
That, I mean, we're going to make some decisions on some guys here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gretzky had it, lost it, says, it's really too bad the Red Wings can't score a win here lately because it's really killing my Leafs Schadenfreude buzz. I'm going to laugh when they're watching the playoffs on the sidelines with us in April, but cry when they end up with the McKenna pick in May. We can all agree that's happening, right? We didn't even talk. I wanted to talk about this. The Leafs have absolutely no sauce right now. That is just that team is more corporate feeling than the suits in their lower bowl.
That's tough. That's a tough statement.
And I agree, like, it is so annoying that the Red Wings aren't winning right now because it's exponentially funnier when lowly teams are near the top of the Atlantic and the Leafs are struggling like this. Like, even games that they end up winning out of nowhere when they were behind before, it's like, you shouldn't have won that. Like, you watch those games, you're like, how are all of Steve Dangle's blood vessels in his head intact? Like, that, there's no hope. I've never seen a better team with less hope than the Leafs. I don't even want to call them a better team. They flat out look bad right now.
Did the Toronto Blue Jays nuke the Toronto Maple Leafs?
No, they covered it up for a while.
Yeah, but now you look at it and you're like, oh, we can't. This team's never going to win.
No,
we just had a team go to Game 7 extra innings of the World Series, like they're going against the evil empire. Like, this is the feel good, brotherly bond team. That's over. Let's go see what the Leafs are doing. And it's like,
it's a jump scare.
Yeah, Halloween's over, but Toronto's still living it.
It's like when you have pasta after you get home from Italy for the first time.
It's the worst thing you've ever done in your life.
Yeah, you're like, wow, I can't believe I was living like this.
Yeah.
Was it always like that? Sure. Yeah. But it's certainly worse in retrospect. You knew how good it can get. You know how good wine can be. Just like a €3 wine from the grocery store is like one of the best that you could buy at your local liquor store here. And you're like, God, I wish I didn't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
This is definitely how I feel when I'm having a Chef Boyardee and Diet Coke for dinner.
Hey, there's a time and a place.
Look, man, all that stuff goes away for the first X years of your kid's life. I'm sure I'm the only one in this room who doesn't understand what it's like to be a parent and you're just like, I need sustenance, but I've seen it. I saw the way your eyes got wide at my bachelor party when we had that meal, and you actually said, I didn't know food could taste this good. Brad essentially only ate calories for the calories for, well, you're still going right now.
Oh, yeah. I eat, the number of meals I eat in my car is shameful.
That's the saddest thing. Every time he says it, I get so sad. I always tell Mel after.
It's not because I want to.
No, that's worse.
I'm forced to by necessity.
Anyways, yeah, that's what
Do you know
the
how
Leafs
long
feel
it's been
like
since
right now.
Do you know how long it's been since I've had to do that?
They actually took away Brad's dining room chair. Like, he doesn't need this anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Just
they put
getting
a
in the
shooter
way.
tutor there for Hank.
Yeah.
Brad, I know the last time you did it, it was like 3 hours ago.
It was 2 hours ago.
Oh, God. I don't even remember what the question was.
It was about how much the Leafs suck.
Oh, well,
It's
yeah.
like, it does bring a warmth to your heart. It does. But I just wish that, our team didn't suck as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Which the record's still better, but
Barely.
you gotta, let's keep that up. All right, let's take some more questions here. Finnie's hot and I'm ready. Says, how random is line formation in the NHL? Watching the Wings since BJB, before Jeff Blashill, has felt like throwing stuff against the wall until something sticks. How much is handedness a factor? Style, do they ever jumble lines through practice and search for chemistry? How do you see the Wings' current line jumbling playing out?
Kind of a little bit of rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, but handedness matters a little bit outside of certain players. You get the odd player, and it's weird that the Red Wings have two of them in DeBrincat and Kane who prefer playing their off wing. But you got to think when you're on that side of the ice, it is easier to make a play to basically everywhere else when you're on your forehand, just because that's the natural position. And again, it's only a split second difference to make the play, but in the NHL, that split second matters. Whether it's catching a pass, sending a pass, you're in between the two plays. And beyond that, in terms of actually line construction, there's some thought behind it in terms of, okay, well, if we got a shooter here, we need someone who can get him the puck. And these two guys are pretty soft, so maybe we put him with a grinder. But it's a very exact science because sometimes the most random combinations work. And in theory, they shouldn't work, but they do. And it's, you try to put some thought into it, but it is a lot of just throwing it at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, like I've heard so many times, like, this guy was brought in because he's great down low, and that's what this line is missing, that kind of guy who will do the hard work below the red line and in the puck retrievals and things like that. And a lot of the times, like, yeah, that works. And it's why you see guys up the lineup who aren't necessarily like one of the six best forwards, but he plays the role and he does elevate that line. It's ingredients in your dish that you're cooking in the kitchen. Sure, it's not like sometimes you have to go a little bit out of the way to balance the flavors. And sometimes that's the idea and it just doesn't work, and sometimes you have Emmitt Finnie on the first line and all the analysis was, sure, the play style would work, but that guy, is he really going to fit there as a rookie? And then it does work for however many games there. So in general, there are trends, but I think a lot of teams find success when they're willing to try things that don't necessarily make sense, which is what you do when you're running out of ideas, naturally. All right, last one here. A portion of Jack's dad's question says, who are our most valuable assets that you'd be willing to give up in a blockbuster package for a big fish? Who would you want that big fish to be versus what is the most realistic return based on the asset you pick?
Connor McDavid, and I'll give up anybody.
Like, who is the biggest fish who could actually potentially be available? It's Quinn Hughes, right?
If you're on the extreme optimistic side, yes.
Yeah, like that is the most optimistic you could get. And like he's, in a lot of people's minds, a bolt-on Vancouver Canuck, and everyone else's mind, a bolt-on New Jersey Devil.
So understanding you can't give up the entire roster for him, you basically say, all right, Larkin, Raymond, Seider, Edvinsson, ASP. We need to keep these guys on the roster. Otherwise, there's no point even making this trade. Pick out whatever else you feel is fair. is pretty much the conversation.
Outside of that core, I don't know that anyone's completely untouchable. And I will go so far as to say it would hurt me. I don't think they should. I think it would be a mistake. But if it's for a big enough fish, ASP is involved in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The position of need thing, like, I don't think you can be giving up top defenseman one way or another if you're the Red Wings. Like,
well, that was kind of my ASP theory. It's like, okay, well, if you shore up one glaring hole in the top four just to open up another one, yes, it is an upgrade, but I mean, you're just replacing one problem with another.
I don't know, like, even you love the draft picks and you love guys that they're about to draft and things like that. Like, you're not trying to deal Bachelnikov. You're excited about him. Everyone's on the table. Whether it's an expendable guy in your mind, like a Wallinder or a Booyam, or if it's someone like Max Plant or Carter Bear or Keeskin, like, there's, for the right price, and that's the big, bold, emphasized part of this, for the right price, yeah, you got to include those guys if you're going for the big fish. There's not really a big trade market. We've talked about this in terms of names that are publicly out there, but it doesn't mean that they won't happen. It just means that teams are going to wait to see what they are. Let's see how things are around Thanksgiving, and let's see how things are as we start to approach the trade deadline, the Olympic break, things like that. Not a lot of names out there right now.
Yeah, the NHL's so, like, the standings are so tight right now. I think if a team has a good week, they're probably feeling really good about themselves. If they have a bad week, they're probably like, oh, we're still not that far out of it. So there's not a lot of names floating around right now. Like, yeah, maybe Quinn Hughes, like Jordan Kyrie's been floating around since he's their best player, but also their favorite player to healthy scratch. Yeah, it all depends on the player. And I'm with you guys. Like, at this point, no asset is really off the table so long as the talent coming in is of equal or greater value.
You have absolutely all the assets that you need. What's Detroit missing? They're missing the superstar and they're missing the lottery wins, but they have prospects out the wazoo, and they have their picks coming up too.
We suffered for longer to get volume.
Yeah, that you never struck gold. Keno never played out for you still, but you have all of those $2, $3, $4, $5 wins, and like, it's they have stuff to work with. It's just in a league where stuff doesn't usually happen. It's hard to make deals. To the point of Kyrou, before we wrap up here, a lot of people made the point that we didn't really make a lot of mention of, does he have attitude issues? Like, if a guy is the guy always being healthy scratched over there, there's probably a little bit of a theme there. And I do believe that to a pretty significant degree. I think, the player, whenever you see that theme with the player, there probably is something to be said about that. It's just a little bit of, but the performance and the cost control is so good that you're kind of willing to try to work with it. And it's not like he's a Vander Kane level, personal issues with the team. So is it scary? Would it be a risk? I 100% think so. And I wouldn't minimize that. But again, nothing happens in this league. So if you have a good player that could potentially be on the outs, you got to hold your nose a little bit some way, most likely. All right. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Wing Wheel Podcast. Next time you hear from us on the show will be at earliest super late night Sunday. If not, it's going to be by Monday early afternoon, just depending on our recording schedule. We will see you at Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA. The last batch of tickets is available. Again, wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings. We hope to see you all there. It's going to be a fantastic time. To all of our sponsors, we can't thank you enough for supporting the show. And to our Patreon supporters, none of this happens without you, including Winged Wheel Podcast Nights. Again, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast. And if you want to support the show, but Patreon's not for you, that's totally okay. Wherever you get your podcast, be it YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, hit subscribe, leave a rating, a review, the like button, the stars, tell a friend about the show. All of those are things that really help us out. And to our name level supporters on Patreon, again, you are the heart and soul of this show. Arjun Shanker, Aikfer, Martin Norberg, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Matthew M. Rice, Darb EQ, Sea Lion, Bingo Bango, Hassam Al Qassam, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, RA, Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S. at the Cheesebag Navy, The El Cato, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood, Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl, Brutanen Naluski, Jay Gollum, John Ingles, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adam Zuiza, Adam Rose, I Miss Pew Suter, Steve R, Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Eyes Are Playing Stan, Now I Have to Learn How to Click on a Macintosh, Clip Clop Nene, Podgy713, Griffin Not from Grand Rapids, Marty, Cozy the OG13, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Kip Tira Jr., Mike Asher, Chris Black, August, Brian Munn, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Putting on the Moritz, General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Lonnie Zone, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, Antonio Gracias, Matt Keeler, Linda Hull, I'm drunk and I can't think of a name, hope you all are doing well, Connor Leighton, As Good As It Gobbles, Jeremiah Dobo, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, The Hodag, Baseball, Basketball, Wiener Dog, Short Sports, Commander Ben Barron of the Cheeseback Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka's Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, That Other Guy, Pucking Puck, Carl Thames, Nerno, The Hat 123, Stephen A. Aaron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Roy Mudbutt, Big Cheese, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, and Stanislavski, Jim Bellingham Acid Balls, Wings Fan of St. Louis Scott, Johnny Page, Lucas Raymond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return of Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finney to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axel's Sandy Pelican, the Octopi's 9th Leg, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. We will talk to you after the next 3 games.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.
This message is brought to you by Greenlight Lending. Are you facing financial red lights on your home ownership journey? Don't have money for a down payment or closing costs? Struggling with your current mortgage payment or other debt obligations? Or maybe you have a complicated situation like credit challenges or self-employment income? At Greenlight Lending, they turn those red lights green with creative mortgage solutions for purchase and refinance loans. Their team crafts personalized plans with flexible closing cost options, competitive brokered rates, and innovative loan programs tailored to your needs. Whether it's finding the right loan or guiding you through the process, they're here to help you score your home ownership goals. Let's get you out of the penalty box and into the game. Head to gogreenlightlending.com to explore solutions or call Nick directly at 586-321-1888 for your customized plan. All loans are subject to credit approval, terms, and conditions. Rates and programs vary. Contact for details. Greenlight Lending, lighting the way to your financial future. NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender, proud sponsor of the Winged Wheel Podcast.